With almost 30 years of studying spirituality, studying different religions, and trying to find the answers to life and personal fulfillment, I've come to realize that out of all of the gurus and spiritual teachers one can come across, how to actually get in touch with your true guru, your best guru, the guru who is meant for you, who has in fact been guiding you throughout your entire life, up until this point and even going forward. My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, PhD, ordained Minister of Metaphysical Sciences, and I'm also the author of The Future Self Frequency. Now, I struggled a great deal, even though my studies with spirituality has led me to different clues and ideas and understandings and insight as to how to actually achieve success, right? And how to understand my vision of success. Because one thing is, we all think that success looks the same, right? It looks like lots of money, looks like the nice car, the nice house, the nice spouse, a beautiful family. Now, there's nothing wrong with those things, obviously. But what I've come to understand, and what you may be coming to understand probably the hard way, is that those things don't necessarily equate to success. They can be expressions of success, but they themselves are not success. Many people have those things and they still feel this void. They feel disconnected. They feel misaligned. They feel unhappy. And that's because they haven't really been able to tap into what truly drives them, motivates them, right? They haven't really truly understood themselves. They haven't been vulnerable. They haven't been able to connect with themselves from an authentic place. But besides all that, it's important to recognize that once you come to understand that those superficial things aren't success, that they are just byproducts of success, and you come to understand that you truly achieve success by understanding what success looks like to you. Now the question is, how do you do it? How do you walk that path? How do you achieve that individualized idea of success? Because really, there isn't a blueprint. We're all different. So one person's idea of success is completely different than another. If you ask me what success looks like, it will probably be different than what you think success is, what you understand success is for you. So then how is it then can I look to get guidance, get help, get support, right? How can you get guidance, get help, and get support if everybody's on essentially a different path? You see, this is why we often get lost in teachings of other people. We think that their way is our way, and that's just simply not true. Now, there are blueprints, there are, baseline, kind of generalized understandings of what is going to get you along the path. But ultimately, you have to take that and make it yours in order for you to make it through. You have to take real ownership of yourself and not just simply follow along with a program, a paradigm, an idea, a theory, right, a philosophy of somebody else's. I often preach and tell people, hey, whatever it is that I'm sharing with you that resonates with you, you take that. You take it and you make it your own. Don't just take my word as doctrine or as if it's written in stone. What I'm sharing with you is a generalized concept of what I've come to understand and what I've come to understand with my own experiences and what I've come to understand by observing other people's experiences. So there is a baseline of understanding that you must take it and then you must add to it. You must make the recipe your own, you see? And so for a lot of people, we are looking for more guidance even in that. And that can be really tough for a lot of us because many of us, you may be one of those people who don't have real faith or confidence in who you are and what it is that you can achieve on your own by way of really listening to yourself. Now, when I speak about listening to yourself, most times people think I'm referring to consciousness, which is true. Some people think that when we listen to ourselves, we are listening to the ego. That can often get us in a lot of trouble, especially if we don't know how to manage the ego. But that's a higher level of understanding, right? So then we think about the subconscious mind. Many of us are familiar with that. The unconscious mind. Many of us are familiar with that as well. So what voice are we listening to get us along the path toward and to success? Well, my understanding, what all of my 30 years have come to lead me to, is that when we are listening to our consciousness, ultimately, we're listening to an aspect of us who is timeless, right? Who is without boundaries. Your consciousness, though it is housed in your body, it will move forward through your body when your body expires, right? You will continue to live outside of this body in other realms, other, places, but you, consciousness, will never cease to exist. You are timeless and you are without any limit, right? You cannot end. And so when you think about that, understand that when we identify with our bodies, we identify greatly with time. Why is that? Because we are usually identified with the ego. We're identified with the part of us that sees everything as separate. Okay. This is, of course, an illusion. It is a necessary illusion because it is part of the game of life that we are here to experience. You must understand that in order for you to be here, you must be housed in this body, right? Then in this body, you are having your unique individualized experience. So there is a lot to be said and a lot to add to this conversation of individualism, right? Oneself, right? And that myself is separate than you, right? That myself or yourself is separate than everything else. But that is an illusion because these things that we are talking about as far as being separated from, one being separated from the other, are all temporary, right? The separation is not permanent. And if it isn't permanent, then ultimately it isn't real. It isn't a truth. So when we go beyond those things we call that, me, you, right? Those things are all temporary. But ultimately, once we transcend and ascend out of this body, out of this physical realm, then we will really roam and exist in a space where we understand more of a oneness because there is no separation, right? It is just pure energy, pure consciousness. So time, really, when it comes to consciousness, is not a thing. It's just a element of this physical realm. That being said, when we get into consciousness and we talk about this voice that we hear when it comes to achieving success, we are listening to the timeless voice of our consciousness. Now, consciousness goes beyond time. That means that the aspect of us who is speaking to us is, in fact, the aspect of us who had already experienced a particular thing. Your consciousness, the voice within you, the voice that is communicating to you by way of your passions, right? Your dreams, your aspirations, your desires, your wants even. Those things are vibrating. They're echoing out to you. They are messengers or messages to you from an aspect of yourself that is experiencing the thing that you desire. You may have heard about quantum physics, the quantum field, quantum jumping. That is where we understand that since we are not truly beings who really exist in time, and time isn't real, that we go beyond time and space. Therefore, we are all things all the time. In other words, to simplify this, the aspect of you that you wish to be actually exists. The aspect of you who desires, right, success, right? You desire a particular success. That means that there is a version of you, an aspect of you that actually has that thing. This is why you desire it, want it, aspire to it, right? Crave it, yearn for it. It's because that aspect of you, right, through time and space, is sending out a message, a frequency. It is guiding you to self. Now, I started this by talking about gurus, spiritual teachers, guides, spiritual counselors, right? Understand that though there's nothing wrong with seeking advice, support, knowledge, insight from other people, the most powerful, the most important person, guide, spiritual teacher that you must absolutely listen to is your future self. Now, we use the word future because it pertains to us in this physical human experience, right? Time exists in the human experience, but we are on this spiritual journey, so we want to lean more into consciousness and be led by consciousness through this experience, this human experience, to come to an understanding as to success, right? So success looks like all the things that you desire, truly desire. But for some reason, your ego is kind of distracting you, scaring you, telling you maybe you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not able, you don't have this or you don't have that. But the truth of the matter is you are constantly hearing, thinking, desiring this belief, this goal, this aspiration, this idea, because your future self is calling you to it. Okay? Recognize that you are the spiritual teacher, guru that you've been seeking. You've always been there. You've always been there guiding you, right? That future self has always been there guiding you through the path, the journey of understanding who you truly are. You just simply have to learn how to listen. And so for me, as I took on this journey and I started to study different things and see different things and, understanding, though before I even got into quantum physics and the quantum field, I always had this understanding within myself about time and recognizing when some things are meant for me. And when they are meant for me, there is absolutely nothing that can sway me or distract me from achieving that thing. Not even myself. There's no doubt within me that I'm going to achieve this thing. And therefore, it gets achieved. Now, that's because there is a clarity, there is a frequency, a connection that is had between myself and the version of myself that actually achieved that thing, where the connection is undeniable, right? It is a bond. It is a connection that is beyond swaying or yielding or giving up. You see, you have had experiences where your clarity has been so focused, so clear, that you were in fact unstoppable when it came to that thing. And you knew it, you felt it. Where there are other aspects of your life where you're quite not sure, right? Now, that doesn't mean because you're quite not sure that it's not meant for you. It just means that maybe the ego is involved with distracting you, right? With hindering your growth and being able to push through and actually get it done to achieve that goal, to achieve that dream. You essentially have to learn to tap into, connect with your future self in order for you to be at a place where you know it is yours. That thing, that idea, that goal that the future self already has, you know that it's yours because you are then transporting yourself into that future self's existence. That's how you gain the clarity and insight and the unyielding power to do something with complete focus and commitment. So your job really is to connect with that future self, to get guidance, clarity from that future self, to be able to listen to it without any sense of doubt or questioning, right? That's the point of this spiritual journey. That is something I've come to recognize through all these years. It has all just hit me all at once with a complete clarity and an understanding as to, okay, we are beyond time and space. Therefore, our highest version, right, where people often say the best version of me, the highest version, meaning the part of you or the version of you that literally has everything that you desire, right? And maybe even more, right? Because our ideas and our imagination, our comprehension is a little bit limited right now, but there's a part of us, there's a version of us that has a complete and open understanding about themselves, about the universe and how it connects with it, how to achieve the dreams and desires and the aspirations that you have, and the ability to communicate through time to your current self, which is its past self, to actually say, these are the clues. These are the keys toward getting to this experience, this existence. It is guiding you to itself. So, in order for you, and what I've learned, in order for me to really tap into that true self, because essentially we're talking about your truest self, your highest possible potential, your highest possible, existence. We're talking about you tapping into the ability to communicate with your true self and absolutely just be everything that you desire and dream of being. It's not a dream. It is not a fantasy. It is truth. And these are the things that all of the spiritual teachers and successful people have come to understand, though maybe not consciously, but still they're able to dial into a portal where they can connect with their future selves. They have a dream, they have an aspiration that though other people may look at them like they're crazy, they still push forward with the understanding that that dream must happen, right? They almost look crazy because they won't yield, they won't stop. And that is what you have to understand. When you are dialed into your future self, you carry that, you own that future self, and you recognize that this is. The issue is other people, right, are not able to see it. Why? Because other people cannot dial into your future self. Only you can. This is why I say your future self is the one that you need to be connecting with, communicating with the most. Not somebody else who isn't on the same path as you, who isn't destined for the same things as you. So learn how to communicate with your future self. I've compiled tools, techniques, practices, insight on how to help you. Okay, because this is what I've been doing. This is something that I've realized I've been doing for years. All of the great, amazing things that I've accomplished, a beautiful, amazing relationship, great connections with my kids and my family, the ability to take my information and share with people, right? To be an educator of spirituality. to be consistently sharing, to have infinite knowledge that I can download and channel and give to you, right? These are all dreams and aspirations that I've always had, to run marathons, to be physically fitter than I've ever been. So what I want you to understand is that your desires and dreams, the ones especially that you have achieved, are the clues, right? When you achieve those things, you were at a different mindset, weren't you? Because I know for me, when I achieved all those things, it was always a different mindset. It was a mindset where nothing else existed. This is what I had to do. This was purpose, you see? And so I want you to gain clarity as to how to dial into and communicate with your future self on a consistent basis. So that way you can achieve and be that future self faster than you would, without being conscious and aware of this understanding, right? This truth. And so I mentioned that I'm the author of The Future Self Frequency. Now, this book is by far one of my favorite books. It is powerful, okay? I definitely recommend you purchase this book. This book is available on my website, futureselffrequency.com. Okay. Now, this book here has a lot of insight, very colorful. I'm just going to turn a page and read something here. All right. Let's see. Embodiment in action, becoming in the now. The concept of embodiment isn't merely a philosophical ideal. It's a practical, actionable strategy for manifesting the life you desire. It's about more than just visualizing your future. It's about becoming that future self in the present moment. This process involves a conscious and consistent alignment of your thoughts, actions, and beliefs with the version of you who has already achieved their aspirations. All right? That is from this book here. Got to get this book. Now, this book, you can also accompany it with, this is what I call the My Future Self Journal. Okay? Now, this journal is really what's going to guide you to connect with your future self. This journal is a 90-day journal. Now, you don't have to be consistent and do it every single day, even though that's kind of what I'm doing. I missed a few days here and there, but this journal, okay, My Future Self Journal, it's laid out with instructions on how to use it, of course, okay? Now, here's actually the entry, the portal entry, right? So each day you will fill this out, and it gives you instructions on how to do that, okay? And then after every week, you get, if I can find it real quick, there is a few questions you answer to help you gain more clarity and insight perspective as to your journey. So I'm going to be promoting both of these, okay? Really often, I'm going to be doing a bunch of lives where we get to talk about tapping into your future self. So those lives will be consistent. You know how I do. I like to be very consistent, regular, every single day, right? So look out for lives happening in the evenings, all right? Somewhere around 7, 8 o'clock. I'm not sure yet, but look out for those lives on YouTube and on TikTok, okay? So that is what I want to share with you. You have to be able to recognize that the voices, the dreams, the aspirations, all the things that you desire are actually your future self calling you, beckoning to you, okay? Leading you, right? It is wanting you to be it, right? To be that version of yourself. Listen to it. Don't worry about so much of the how, right? Just do what you can in the current moment with what you have. Your future self will continue to give you more and more clues to get you to that result, to get you to the realization, the understanding, the epitome, the embodiment, the success that you desire. You must trust in yourself. If not your present self, then please trust in your future self. Thank you so much. If you go to drabundant.com and subscribe, if you hadn't already, subscribe to my daily newsletter, you will get the first chapter of this book. All right. The Future Self Frequency Deluxe Transformation Edition. Now, the Future Self Frequency is available on Amazon, but it is not this version. The version on Amazon is a very short, kind of introductory version. Okay. It'll give you some insight, but ultimately, if you're looking for techniques and practices to help you go deeper and really get a true understanding of these teachings, then you really want to get this. Okay. This is only available on thefutureselffrequency.com. Okay. It's thefutureselffrequency.com or futureselffrequency.com. Either one. But look forward to hearing more about this. I'm going to be sharing a lot of teachings with you and support you along this journey so you can actually tap into and connect with your true spiritual teacher, you. Thank you so much. Peace and abundance always.